Group Star Championship. And as it was last year, and as we saw the previous major this season, low scores are tough to come by, though we do have a familiar face at the top of the leaderboard despite some late round struggles yesterday. It is Ji Hyun who has put together the best Friday thus far of those truly in contention for this event. It was a 71 in round one. Today she is 2 under and currently has a 2-stroke advantage over Peng Min-ji. Only Chanu Ri is at that same 2 under score. They are the 2 top golfers to beat thus far. As we pick up our coverage around the midway mark of the rounds for most of the field, we started with 108. We are down to 105 in contention for this 17th playing of the KB Financial Group Star Championship. We do know there will be no defending champion this season. Shana Nashi had withdrawn from the competition at the turn yesterday, though we do have a few previous champions in the field as well. Im Hee-jung, as you just see on the graphic there, she is one of them. She was the winner back in 2019. We also have Chun In-ji, who won in 2015. She is a guest back on tour, very much welcome and invited to this competition by virtue of her being a previous champion, and also I'm pretty sure with how well she plays on the LPGA Tour as well, she will always have an open invitation to return to her native Korea anytime she so chooses. It is a big purse up for grabs this week. Peng Min-ji, she has a significant lead already in the money list and currently in P2 has an opportunity to increase that gap atop that particular leaderboard in the season-long standings. As we see across the course, it is another beautiful day. Once again, the forecast is not quite perfect. It was supposed to be mostly cloudy today, easy for me to say, and then have some breaks now and then, but just as it was when we signed off yesterday, mostly sunny skies. It is 29 degrees out there on course right now, and 3.5 meters per second is the wind out of the east-northeast. Pretty good visibility as well, as we can clearly see looking over the mountains here in Icheon. And quite frankly, aside from the difficulty that it is currently playing as out on course, there aren't many external factors. It is truly a battle of ability, battle of patience, and battle of shot making as well here at the KB Financial Group Star Championship. We will begin our coverage today on the final hole of the North Course with Peng Min-ji. It is a lengthy look at birdie, but it is one that if she gets it, she would be back to even for the day, out with a 36. A downhill putt that needed to start back towards the left earlier. It's good weight, but it is offline. Looking at her scorecard a little bit more under the microscope, she started the round with a birdie at the par 5 first, but she had bogeys at 2 and 4. 4 pars since that little stumble, and it will be a 5th barring some kind of major mishit. Chun In-ji, as you can see by that +5 on her scorecard, it has been a very difficult opening to her round. She is 4 over through 9. A double bogey at the 9th. Bogeys at 8, 6, and 3. She did have 1 birdie on the par 3 7th, and will be realistically needing at least a couple strokes to the good, 34 or better, to really keep her in the hunt as we start to set our gaze towards moving day tomorrow. Also on 9, this time from the fringe, it is Hong Jung-min. Really delicate touch to get this ball started. And while Peng Min-ji was off to the right, this putt, it is to the inside of the flag, and no birdies to be had between those two. Hong Jung-min, she is 3 over through 9, assuming that par is completed. As we head to 10 on the opposite end of that trajectory, staying at even is Jung Yoonji, who had a hole-in-one yesterday, already a week-long highlight, but currently finding herself in sole possession of third. That would have moved her level with Bang Min-ji. And the last member of our featured group today, Kim Min-ju. And she is able to connect on a bird. Nice approach shot leaves her with a very makeable putt. It is back-to-back, so she is 2 over at the turn, but putting together a bit of momentum here as she heads to her back 9. They are through the first half of their round in just over 3 hours, 3 hours and 6 minutes to be precise. Ji Hyun, this is her approach at 11. Rolling through the fringe up onto the green. The pin is at the extreme back right today, as you can see, so still a long way for her to go with putter. Ji Hyun, she is even for the day after a 74 in the opening round. And the first par secured. Currently one of 4 players in a tie for 4th at 1 over. 143 meters and 4 meters downhill from fairway to green. It's a helpful little hop, and that will take care of that first big dip onto the front right. Yesterday here at number 10, it was a par, though there were plenty of pars in the round yesterday, 15 of them to be precise, for one of the best in the world of golf, nicknamed Dumbo. That is a very accurate painting, a good depiction of her nickname. So one of the things she loved when she did make the trek to America to play on the LPGA Tour was the amount of fans that quickly started cheering, "Let's go Dumbo," anytime she would come through the field, and she absolutely adored it. I mentioned it late in the broadcast yesterday, but it was a coach when she was much younger who had given her that nickname for what her coach said was an acute sense of hearing. Pretty remarkable. When she first picked up some clubs with her dad when she was younger, didn't go very well, and her dad almost challenged her, say, "Hey, you don't have to play this game if you don't want to," and well, she took that personally, and the rest is history. To the tee at 11. Nicely shaped from Jung Yoonji into the fairway. Looking at her driving totals from yesterday, she was 9 of 14 in terms of fairways in regulation and was up 18 yards from her season average. Park Ji-young, the next 2 tee off at 10. Triple bogey at 2, a bogey at 4, and 3 birdies, 1, 6, and 7, as she went 1 over through 9. After a round of 72 yesterday, rolls down the hill and will just sneak into the rough off of the fairway. An opening 9 to forget with 5 bogeys. 1, 2, 4, 7, and 9. A 41 after starting her tournament with a 71. She will take some comfort in knowing that she swung that driver exceptionally well yesterday. Only missed 3 fairways. She misses here, but takes a whole lot more distance out of this 307-meter par 4. Leave her with just a short wedge. 232 meters, the average distance, 71.43. The accuracy on these par 4s and 5s for Ji Hyun, who had one of the best shots of the day yesterday from off the green at 18, holing out for a birdie. She'll be the only one in the lot to stay in the fairway. Trying to rebound after a double bogey at the 9th. She had a birdie at 7, so she hits the turn at a 37. I think it's evident, but just to make the correction, thinking of the yardage on 11, 307 meters. This is 50 meters longer here at 10. Hence why there's a bit more of an appetite to reach for a little bit more distance. Precisely what Ji Hyun had done, though she had the balance spot on. Starts left and will just fade right back onto line. Now Ji Hyun's birdie putt at 11. A long way to go up the hill. Any misalignment with the putt that requires that much strength is obviously magnified. By no means a simple par putt next. Well, the first par 3 since number 7. Looked a hybrid out of the bag, and that will roll within 4 meters or so. She got that club selection right on the money. Now to 18. Ji Hyun also at 5 over, with this being her final on the West Course. Look at how quickly that zips back. Stays inside the shadow of the flag in a very, very nice position to try and convert on a bird. She would finish with a 70 if she could cash in on it. She had a really good run, 2, 4, and 5, all birdies. Bogeys at 1 and 16. This wants to dive back inside. It had a chance. 2-putt par. She's played on 3 truly dominant tours around the world this season. The LPGA, of course, this LPGA Tour of Korea, as well as the Ladies European Tour. Ji Hyun under some pressure. Salvages it just barely, but keeps herself in a decent spot there in a tie for 8th. The projected cut line, by the way, right now is 11 over, of which we have 69 players at that mark or lower. Iran is all but assured of making it, despite a 77 yesterday. On pace for a 74 today. She just has not been able to find many birdies. In fact, it's only been 3, 2 on the front 9 yesterday, 1 on 8 today, and that's it for the tournament thus far. You would expect to see her challenging a little bit higher. 72 in round 1 for June. Looking looking to start her back nine with another par. Starts back online just in time. Well executed to avoid dropping another. The challenge for her on this back nine will be finding a birdie. She had 4 of them yesterday, just hasn't been able to put together a good enough sequence yet today. So we go back to 11, excuse me, Jung Yoonji. It is 90 meters over the sand traps. And that rockets off the putting surface all the way to the back and comes to rest in the rough. Not nearly enough loft on that approach shot. Bit surprising considering her slight yardage. Typically, finding your backspin is not an issue whatsoever, just not the cleanest of contact. Caught that a little bit thin. From that thick rough, only 126 meters to go. She'll roll it through the rough, and this is a pretty good line, you know. Unconventional path to the green. That is the other side of the equation. A little bit short can often take you right back to the front. Luckily for Ji Hyun Seoul, it stays put before descending too much further. And that leaves Pak Bo Mi also from the rough. And not able to find a wide open green. It'll be a tricky third shot. Might need to crowd the rescue wedge out of her bag. Jung Yoonji gets up, but not nearly as far towards the flag as she would have predicted. Just escapes the fringe and goes no further. She drove the ball exceptionally well yesterday, So Young. That's a common miss on this first hole of the back nine, with the slope and with the natural tendency for right-handed players to have that fade. Slowing down the swing that this season has typically been pretty consistent. Maybe just a little bit earlier, hands needing to catch up. It's 256 yards on average that she was driving yesterday. She was only 7 of 14 her fairways in regulation. It's a textbook swing into a great spot on the fairway for Jung Yoonji. They are away. One of the last to come through. Here on number 10. Does show you the brief hold up though, with Jung Yoonji and company still waiting for the green light to go ahead. It's curious at number 10 how it's mostly straight, but with the way the angles are from the blocks, it's almost as though that left side gives you the cleanest look and keeps the water mostly out of play. That's not quite the case on number 11, where it's a significant dogleg left. Apologies, stuck in the replay matrix for a second. Well, after the first shot out of the rough only just found the green, Jung Yoonji needs this for a par. Too much left to right break, and it will be a drop. Knocks her back to even for the day, 1 over, and all of a sudden she's sharing that P3 position with 5 others. And Ji Hyun to get to even, never wanted to get back right for her. Settling for another par at 10. Very well deserved for Ji Hyun after that great approach shot. She ends up coming in with a 36 and will head to moving day tomorrow at 4 over. Back to 10. This is a very delicate shot. You do not want to be long with that downslope looming large. She caught a piece of the hole, but not enough for birdie to be found, so she will also be recording a par here at number 10. Pakbomi with a short tap in bogey. Oh. She could have made that in her sleep. Should have just been a routine finish, but a snap of left to right break, and it's a double bogey out of nowhere. Her first double of the day, and from even and in the hunt to something of an afterthought, as she only just really begins the second half of her round. This is about as tricky as a section of rough just off the fairway can get. Needing a little bit more power to rip it through, and from the rough to the sand she goes. You really lose the ability to shape that shot. You're so focused on getting up to the green. He's so young. 80% greens in regulation is tops. Once and twice, up it rolls, and continues to carry on, and there's that downslope. Down onto the fringe, from missing the flagstick by mere centimeters to likely needing to chip her next. Now 93 meters from the fairway after a great tee shot from Jung Yoonji. She'll be able to putt from there as it goes all the way to the back perimeter. Still fairly close. Narrow miss. That's perfect control. As it's coming up the hill, it settles itself down nicely on that diagonal landing trajectory and slows to a halt pretty close to immediately. Now this isn't live to the second, but remember that the final putts had been completed on number 9 almost 25 minutes ago. A long time to wait to begin the back 9. Another misadventure with driver. She's going to have a rather tricky time setting up for that next shot. He's only found 29% of the fairways today, and that was before that miss. And now Jung Yoonji. Just at the end of that second bunker, the fairway gets very, very narrow. My favorite thing about these slow-mo cams is just seeing how everyone sets up their drivers differently. So many, let's say more of the most common practice is to have the ball basically in line with your leading heel. Jung Yoonji plays that like most would approach an iron, right in the middle of her stance. You can see everyone just in the background, those little white dots working right to left. That's a pretty good example of how much of a dogleg left this is. Ji Hyun doesn't try and do too much. No cuts, no fades, just a normal swing for her, and it ends up safe. Cautious is sometimes best, especially the course playing as challenging as this. It's a nice out from a tricky spot in the sand. Putt to secure a par for Ji Hyun at number 12. High speed putt that is perfectly on line for Jung Yoonji. Just her second birdie of the day and her first since the 7th hole. Said she probably wanted to think about a 34 to keep herself in that lead pack and out of the peloton. So Young in her Friday yellow, celebrating a make. She'll be battling to try and sustain the consistency she's been able to put together in the front 9. Hop, skip, and a jump. Onto the hill, off the green once again. Ji Hyun through 10, 2 over for both the day and the tournament. While dealing with the wind and the topography of this green. On number 13, Im Jung is mostly up. So Jung, the long-awaited first birdie of the day, 2 doubles, 2 bogeys on the front 9. That will give her a bit of momentum. She was asking for it to kick, and the ball obeys the commands from Park Ji-young into a close vicinity, only about 6 feet away. Rolling up the hill, now it needs to stop. Now it needs to stop. Okay, that's not all that dicey for Jung Yoonji. This is definitely the definition of dicey. Could have gone much, much more awry than that, considering she was basically up the cut of the mountain. Well worth the wait, I would say, with a willingness and an ability to convert on that. Really wrestled with that drive. Stays left, which is definitely the play at 11. A gorgeous day here today in Icheonji, and we are in the back stretches. It took Peng Minji and her final group a little while to get going on number 10, but everyone is away, and it is Peng Minji, the closest to the leader. She still does have a few birdies to try and create on this back 9. Time for our first break of the day. When we come back, more from round number 2 of the KB Financial Group Star Championship at Blackstone. back to the course. Hong Jung-min trying to navigate out of the rough, down and through the fringe and back online, but doesn't carry enough speed to make it any closer. Speaking of off the green, this is Ji Hyun's effort from 11. Needs that backspin to factor in. About 5 feet past the hole. And the hillside rough party continues. This is Jung Yoonji. A little bit closer than Ji Hyun was. Finally, some putts to be had. Pang Min-ji at 10. To narrow the gap between she and the leader. Creeping and crawling, but just short. It is a tap-in par. I've brought her back to even. Now, some 40 minutes since they concluded the front 9. Jung, it's a little right to left to take her to even. No, so close. Hangs over the lip. She needs the slightest of touches. Exhales and bemoans a little bit in frustration at how close she had come. This is a 4-meter putt to try and save a par. Shimmies away to the outside. Just at the decisive moment. It is a bogey that takes her to 4 over for the day. Jung Yoonji, calm under pressure. Keeps herself at even, heading to 13 next. Ji Hyun, other side of the flag and able to find her par. On pace for a 73. If she were to finish there, at least at the moment, it would be a tie for third heading into the final round, but there is lots of golf for her remaining in the day. Kim Min-ju. That's a frustrating one. She is not unfamiliar with those frustrations today. After bogeys at 8 and, or birdies, excuse me, at 8 and 9. Streak is over. Jung also close, but no cigar. It's been a relatively uneventful sequence of holes on the back 9 for her. Just the one bogey at 18. Other than that, it's been all pars. And speaking of bogeys, from an opportunity to make it 3 birdies from 3 to a bogey once more. Would rival Hak Bo Mi's unfortunate missed par from about 40 minutes ago. So we go to 13. Ji Hyun 3. Up the hill and back down again. This is about as low probability as it gets. Nice birdie. Might be underselling it a little bit from the gallery. Her third of the day. And now 11. Ji Hyun with her feet in the rough and the ball just on the fairway. Needing to go over the tree, over the sand, and try and keep this right. Well, she had kept it right, but she blasts off just underneath the camera tower. It's 135 meters from the fairway for Jung Yoonji as she tries to do a back-to-back birdie sequence. It's going to take quite the chip or putt for her to make it 2 from 2. It's 89 meters for So Young. And this is a little bit shorter than you'd think. That's just about perfect. Enough to prevent it from cascading off the back, and enough to get her up onto that back rise. Sung Young on 13. She's playing 4-iron. 165 meters. Isn't the longest par 3 on course. Just about pin high and a very good spot. Five-iron for Jung Yoonji on the par 3s in 2022. 78% greens in regulation, 15th best. And from there, she's usually able to get it very, very close. It's a bit short this time. Plenty to do if she wants another birdie. One of her 2 birdies on the day came at the par 3 7th as we go to 11. Her only birdie on the back 9 yesterday came at the 17th. Finds the fairway, off to a good start. It's got to be a bit disconcerting if you're so young to have a player like Jung Yoonji hot on your heels. She was pretty buried in that rough and was mindful of the fact that sculling it a little bit probably means she's on the other side of the green. Now she's got a second chance here. Knowing that if she doesn't hole out, she'll be dropping a stroke. Try to get this as close as possible to avoid, well, this. And she sculls it again. This is exactly what she didn't want to do on the first effort from the rough, and that will be a very long and lonely walk to the front of the green. Gives me flashbacks a little bit to Lee So-young yesterday, who had her issues on the par 3. Needing 2 strokes to get on the green, but luckily for her, she was able to salvage a double bogey, considering what could have been. Similar position there. And Ji rolls it most of the way with her first putt. Well, it is 15.2, the official distance remaining. And as she has to cut this back, makes for a very tricky putt. She does okay, but she's not out of the woods yet. Much less eventful 11th hole for Lee So-young, and she won't be complaining about this. Oh, she thought she had it. She had stepped out and was confident she had enough in the middle for it to drop, but it does take 2 for the par. Speaking of pars, we go to 12 next. Jung Yoonji to keep herself at 4 over. Wow. Greens are playing quite tenacious, aren't they? There's 4 bogeys now on the day, a double bogey and 2 birdies, all in. She finds herself 8 back. We need a birdie. Lift the spirits a little bit. Could it come from Jung Yoonji? Looks pretty good to start. So if it had a little bit more speed, it was there. Still at even with 5 holes to play in her second round. And happy to see this hole done, no doubt. Second double bogey of the day for Ji Hyun. That's omitting the 3 bogeys she's had as well. That's +4 now in this second round. Jung Yoon is our next hope at a birdie. And there it is. Great tee shot and a very strong finish. It's her first of the day. On pace for a 73 now, and some relief to finally see a birdie. Now the approach shot for Jung Yoonji with the green clear. She too gets up, and that almost certainly has to be a birdie. That is the example. If you were to try and research how do you play this approach, well, you would do it just like this. About 2 feet before that hill crests and levels off, takes all the speed off, loft the contact. It was near perfect for Jung Yoonji, and she should At long last for her, be back to even for the day. But as we've seen a few times, the short putts aren't necessarily gimmies here at Blackstone Chun. To 14, just inside of 100 meters for Ji Hyun. An approach that would almost rival what we just saw from Peng Min-ji. The birdie from Sunggaon into scintillating approach shots. Let's see if we can keep that momentum going. 84 meters and 4 meters up. Hong Jung-min needs to climb. Carries a bit too much and will roll onto the fringe of the back. Towards the left side of the green on 12 for Ji Hyun Seol. The next up from the fairway, from the rough, excuse me, on 12 from Pak Bo-mi is in the vicinity. She's certainly not going to be putting with confidence on this back nine after how the round has started to get away from her. Will continue to get away from her, to be a bit more frank. With 165 meters as the yardage, this decision for hybrid is an increasingly popular play. How does she fare? It's a bit of a roll, but not enough to carry it all the way up. She is joint fourth, tied for fourth with her par 3 average green in regulation, or average score, excuse me, 2.83. That's the delicacy required, knowing what is on the other side of the hole. You can check the idea of trying to be a hero there. Good look at the downhill nature of this par 4 12th. .369 meters, but it plays significantly shorter than that. From the stretch on, she's yet to birdie this section of the course. That is when she does a lot of the low scoring on the front nine. It is a tremendous tee shot. Almost straight as an arrow. Now Kim Min-ju, 5.4 meters heading towards that back right. has its action inside and left, avoids the birdie once again, but she should, and should being the operative word, be able to be done with this par opportunity without losing any more ground. So we go to 12, 6.8 meters for Ji Hyun. Wind working from right to left, and that ball working from right to left. Well, there's the birdie. It seemed close to a guarantee, but she'll have remembered that she hadn't had one in 10 holes. 2 birdies, 2 bogeys. She is even, and she is within 1. It's going to be a very, very interesting race to the clubhouse between she and Lee So-young. Can Park Ji-young join that fun? She cannot. Would have taken her to even had she been there. It is another short, simple, and equally frustrating tap-in par. Prior to this putt, she's down in a tie for 8th. Just as Peng Min-ji had done. Can Imi Jung get to even? No. You can see how it starts right to left and then doubles down and comes back the other way. Just avoids the entirety of that hole. Doesn't even get a piece. She'll have 4 to go, and we'll need to start finding a birdie or 2 in this home stretch. Ji Hyun done at 12. And 1 over as well. Give you the lay of the land at number 12, where Ji Hyun had just finished a 369-meter par 4. Already seen the dramatic opposite vantage points from the fairway looking up to the blocks. No sand bunkers at the landing point, but there are a few hollow grass bunkers depending on where you land, just meaning the dip, the bowl shape. And then the sand, have no fear, it is still around. It is defending the green. 3 to the front of it, 1 off to the back right. You can see just how narrow the flat stretch is on the way up to the flag. And if you carry a little bit too much, you're heading to the back. She is up, but in a crater. reaching back for a little bit more. Over-rotating, trying to find that extra muscle to avoid just that, and that is undulating and fear-inspiring, I'd imagine. You can't step up to that putt and feel all that much confidence that it's going to even get yourself within 5. We go to 14. A little zip at the end, but 2.5 to 3 meters away for Jung Yoonji. And the final in the stretch of par 4s. It's the longest of this run from the 8th hole. Starts up, immediately heads down. Is it on line? Mostly. Carries a ton of speed and was hoping for contact with the flag to persuade, it to go down for a birdie, but it goes on the other side. Ji Hyun on the par 5 18th. Haven't seen this hole yet today. It's a pretty good reintroduction to it, I'd have to say. We've seen just about everybody in this top 3 this week. We haven't seen a ton of EA1, the leading rookie. She is in the home stretch, 3 over for the day. Currently at 7 over for the tournament and a tie for 28th. Mata Som, who is trying to chase her down in the rookie race, is 2 strokes clear and a tie for 16th. Ko Ji-yu, now speaking of rookies, she is in the clubhouse with a 152 on the aggregate. That is +8. And the cut line has actually bumped further back, so it is now at +12 or lower. Those would be the scores that would qualify you for the weekend. As it stands, 66 players are currently projected to be in the field tomorrow, but there is lots of time for that to increase or decrease, but more likely the latter. Let's see how our leader attacks this putt. Nearly uses the fringe as a bumper as if she was bowling. Look at that, just inches away from perfection. Patiently standing over this putt. Enough to be complicated. But a player of her quality should have no problem with that. She does not this particular occasion. %of the time so far this tournament, it has required 2 putts. Well, slaps her thigh in frustration as she bounds around and stays out. She is one of the most exciting players in that she has every element of her game in spurts, and when she's on, she is almost uncatchable. For me, I think she has the potential to be a perennial contender, both her week to week, and your points and in the money as well. She's got everything. The next step in the evolution of her game is that consistency. That is an unfortunate leap into the rough down towards the cart path as we go to 12. Ji Hyun. An uphill putt trying to avoid dropping another stroke here. Looks okay if it's got the speed. Teetering on the edge. She can't even suppress that wry smile. She's taking as long as she possibly can to get up to it. And how much over the edge is that? Well, she has stalled long enough, I think. Her caddy thinks that this ball is defying physics. Yeah, there it is. Touch and a drop, but it is bogey. A day she will not remember too fondly. That is a up and down scorecard with far more downs than ups. To the par 3 13th with Park Ji-young. She heads right. In terms of the depth, it's a little bit longer than she needed to be, but she's on the opposite side of the green. Jan Sol, 13th on the par 3s. 6 iron for her. Right to left breeze, but shouldn't be too much to play too much of a factor here. This is starting left. That looks okay. Doesn't quite have enough speed to get up, but if you were to find an average between her tee shot and Park Ji-young's, you might have a hole in one. Advancing from the blocks to the fairway. Needs a few more birdies on the run in. Jung Yoonji does. You can hear the shouts for stop, stop. It rolls off for Jung Yoonji, though. Even before we had started our broadcast, I was watching some of the first hour of the action, and it was giving me flashbacks to yesterday with some of the putts she was taking from off the green. She did that a ton yesterday. As we go to 18, Park Ji-young after her approach shot, she unfortunately cannot birdie from that position. Oh, another case of the thinning chip. Lacking clean contact, and Im Hee-jung suffering the consequences. She might find herself off the front page of this leaderboard. It is 6 strokes between she and Lee So-young. Jung Yoonji closer now. Jung Yoonji also even today. And fitting that the top 3 are 3 of the lowest scores that we have seen through just under 90 minutes of round 2. We'll step aside and be back to the Blackstone Icheon Golf Course after a short pause. Well, the forecast officially says overcast. If you were to turn that camera about 180 degrees around, you would see a few more gray clouds in the sky, but a near perfect September afternoon, reaching towards the evening, 3:30 p.m. local time here in Icheonji. That is the recovery effort from the rough up and onto the green. Jung Yoonji, she has 9-iron in hand. Finally ready to play that approach, and gets a very gratuitous roll. Lands on a good portion of that downslope and centers herself nicely. I mean, Jung, what a journey it has been here at 15. From the rough to short on the green to just a few feet away. Jung rolls it up. And there is the tap-in finish. It will be a bogey. It is her third of the day, and it drops her to 4 over. Regardless of the score, there'll always be a pretty vocal fan base. She came awfully close, Ji Hyun Soul, and that exhale was echoed by the supporters around the green. We're seeing a lot of these near misses. Jung Yoonji trying to keep that on a frozen rope. Kicks away to the right, and she will have to settle for another 2-putt hole here at 14. Yoonji had plenty to do. It's about a 4-footer. Oh, Ji Hyun wondering how that putt's gone awry. It's her first bogey of the day. She did have that double at 9. She had started at even and all of a sudden finds herself looking at a 5-stroke deficit. Well, it was a 72 yesterday, and it is just on the complete opposite direction, unfortunately, for Ji Hyun. 8 over now, on pace for an 80. Ji, not that far removed from her birdie, will be settling for par here. Jung Yoonji goes up from the rough. Young, a clean drive into the fairway. Nice and wide reception area. Double bogey here yesterday. This is where the round took a turn for Lee So-young. The last thing she'd want to see is that tee shot heading right. It is off the green once again, but not nearly as perilous as it was about 24 hours ago. Ji Hyun, well, she is not enjoying her golf these past few minutes. She carried that frustration from the missed putt to the tee as her arms waved outstretched, hoping that somebody is able to locate that one in the thick rough. She definitely plays with her heart on her sleeve. Right now, the colors of frustration just showing a little bit more loudly than normal. Well, these are the LFASI's point standings. In case you missed our updates yesterday, let's run through the top 8. Yohei Ran, Park Ji-young, Ji Hyun, and Pungmin Ji, who had not moved up or down, staying where they were last week. 2 weeks ago, rather, with the cancelled Pro-Am. Kim Soo-ji and EA1 had traded spots for 5th and 6th, respectively. And then Lee So-mi in 7th, Cho Ayeon in 8th, and Im Ji-ni, who is on the verge of missing her 4th cut of the year, up to 9. Lee Ga-young likely will be able to take it away from her with how this week is trajecting. Ji Hyun was able to find the ball. This is nearly a squat. Very, very uncomfortable swing. Just needs to get it to the fairway. Now she knows that her putter has to be her ally this time. Akbomi birdie at 14 yesterday. Is just inside of 100 meters for Park Ji-young. She gets 24 meters at that apex. Well, everybody is up and putting, though it was a bit of a detour on the way for Ji Hyun. Up and down. Is it on line? No, just above the hole. Now he's so young. Just a little pitch to get it started. It was 18 meters back. Gets it just inside, or outside, I guess, from that vantage point of pin high. And she has clearly exorcised the demons that had haunted her yesterday. So only 2 putts for Jung Yoonji. I'd say she's cooled off, but I think that average cool, in quotations, is pretty much the best you can hope for today. 2 under is a great score. Now Kim Ji Hyun, this would eliminate 1 stroke. From the double bogey she had, but she has pulled that. Tee shot that heads left in the approach that goes right following the meandering creek. Now he's so young to get out of 13 with the par. Oh no, so there is still a little bit of those frustrations from yesterday rearing their ugly head again. I thought she was safe with the way she had played that second shot. But the curse of the 13th continues, and now one swing of the club, well, two putts in that instance, has her on equal footing with Peng Min-ji once again. Ji Hyun also in this penultimate group, unable to find any joy on 14. She's still down at 1 over, but with that bogey, she is almost suddenly within 3 strokes despite not making any gains. And so underhits this uphill putt. Green at 13 is reached, but on the first rise, though considering where she had started that approach shot, could have gone a little bit worse for Peng Min-ji. Oh, that's not going to help kickstart the momentum. Let's go to 13 next. 5 iron at the par 3 for Kim Min-ju. That is hooked to the inside. Pogbomi just cannot buy a break today. It is now 9 over, and well, she's on pace to be higher than 80, and she hasn't been able to stop the bleeding figuratively any point today. Ji Hyun Seoul will need to do something between now and her arrival at the 15th green to try and calm things down again and get back to a place of zen, if you will, because she is tumbling down the order at this very moment. To 3 over, 5 back, and the race at the top right now. I still keep Jung Yoonji in the mix here, though. She has gone quite some time without a birdie. Those are the top 4, and those are those who have had the best containment, the best ability to minimize mistakes here so far, nearly through the midway mark of this tournament. Mentioned earlier we had yet to really see EA1 today. That's a good way to reintroduce ourselves to her. It's 146 meters from a great spot in the fairway for Jung Yoonji, but she shortchanged it. Could hear the audible gasp. She takes a practice swing again to see if she can diagnose what went wrong. Don't know if that's wet or sandbound. I would be inclined to think it's bunker. And speaking of bunker, that is where we find Ji Hyun. Looks like she had some pretty good contact to get out, but offline as she was pretty much blinded from the green with the flag on 14 front right. If you were really just trying to aim perfectly for that flag, you give yourself no breathing room on its outside, and outside is where she has placed that ball. First putt from Kim Min-ju gets most of the way back to where she needs to be. Returning to the beach at 14, Lee So-young. There you can see just the top of the flag. And as we learned with the last effort from this location, left is best. It will just escape through the fringe, but that will be almost certainly 2 putts for our now co-leader. Successfully reaching the backstage of the green, but cascading down to the fringe from Jung Yoonji on the tee at the par 3. And now Jung Min-ji, speaking of par 3s. 3 holes further back, she has this for birdie to move to the outright lead. Look at this. Oh, narrowly missing. Looked like one of the putts of the day. It stayed on the razor's edge all the way through and did not miss by much. Well, now we have our answer. Jung Yoonji is indeed in the sand. Avoids a penalty, but is not in the clear just yet. That long overhanging grass. And she's able to get up fairly well. The fringe will stop it there. She can putt down, but she'll need that for par. Just no belief in that putter right now for Kim Yoon-ju. Even the short to mid-range putts seemingly causing her some headaches. Go to 15 next. Still 312 meters to go. Park Ji Hyun playing the next from the rough. And that had next to no loft on it whatsoever, and I think she's found the rough again. Both she and her caddy looking down at that iron for answers. This is a course with a lot of fairways. The fairways, however, are narrow and seemingly playing even tighter. Seeing a lot of people struggling to stay in advantageous positions. Yoonji's putt started from an advantageous position. It is a simple par. Just trying to coast to the finish line and avoid a drop on 18 like she had done yesterday. That is the 6th bogey of the day. Had a good run 8 and 9, but aside from that, plummeting down the leaderboard. Kim Yoon-ju, she needs to spend a bit of time tomorrow morning, I think, on the putting green. Now from the fringe, Jung Yoonji. Decent weight on that putt. Her miss is away, and she will mark off and wait her turn. From off the green, Jung Yoonji needed that. That is 3 consecutive pars now. She has not done that all day. And an ear-to-ear smile as she finally gets the best of a tricky situation here. Trips to the rough, trips to the sand, over to the fringe, and able to hole out. Didn't see that leap. Is it possible that it's short into the rough? It's a curious try for Park Min-ji as we see Kim Ji Hyun work her way out of the rough from down the hill and off the green. Lee 1, it is a birdieless round. 3 bogeys as she finishes the day with a 75. She is the third-ranked rookie in the tournament thus far. Jung Yoonji, it is a gulf of 4 strokes now. .15 nearly claims another victim, but Park Ji-young is able to avoid the tall grass just before the water. Ji Hyun Sol on 15, her third. It's 132 meters to go from the fairway. We'll be dropping, soon he'll be climbing up to the green. Well, in a round that has lacked those moments of magic for the most part, that will certainly feel good. Tiny tap in for Kim Ji Hyun. 78 is the mark that she is on pace for today, with just a few holes left to try and find a birdie somewhere in that mix. She was willing it in, and this time the ball elects to comply. 4 holes to go and 2 under for the co-leader. Jung trying to run it up. She had the speed to find the general area, but unsurprisingly struggling a little bit to get the line just right. On the Looks like an all-electric BMW on offer for a hole-in-one here at 16. She heads to the back, stays on the fringe, and will be putting for par next. It's definitely preferable to the alternative, which is being too short and needing to get up. Well, we found Jung Yoonji, and even some of the best ball strikers have made it to this very green, as evident by all the rake marks. She runs up to try and catch where it will be landing. Just comes up short of reaching the fringe. And Jung Yoonji had some company down there. This is Hong Jung Min. Calls to keep your heads up on the card path. That is definitely worthy of a 4. This is Ji Hyun. She needs to go up and down this knoll. It's dropping inside, straightening out at the end. Yes. That's about right for Ji Hyun. The little details get away from her, and then she pulls a rabbit out of her hat on a shot she has next to no business making. .234, the average driving distance for Lee So-young. It's another absolute rocket off the tee. It's the longest struck of the 3, but she does find the rough. Back to 15. It's a little right to left putt for Park Ji-young. Keeping herself very much in the hunt, despite the birdies being a rarity for her on this day. They've been a rarity for everyone, to be honest. She's able to get up, but there's still some work to be had. You can see the relief on her face. Her first birdie of the day comes on the par 5 15th. Sometimes you need to celebrate your little victories. as Jung Yoonji's setup shot, she will hope that it is the last shot next. So we go to the penultimate hole with Jung Yoonji. It's 141 from the rough. Needing to be in the back third on the right side. She's headed left. Oh, excuse me, I'm reading that map backwards, aren't I? There she is. She is on the left. Our right from the vantage point. That works out wonderfully. Lee So-young also from the rough, 287, playing her second. Well, it's rolling towards the rough once again, and I think it might have just found the thick stuff again. Looking a little bit dejected as she exits 14. It's not one she would have expected to need 3 on. From the fringe on 16. Would be improbable, but not impossible. Can she putt out from the fringe again? It might just be a little bit too much to the right. It is. So will be a par. So just down to 2 final holes for the 10th ranked golfer in the world. Jung Yoonji also in the top 20 on the Rolex rankings. Currently occupying the 19th spot. She had been occupying a share of the top spot in this event prior to that bogey, her 3rd of the day and her 1st since the 4th hole. She becomes the hunter once again. So-young Jung over the water, bouncing once through the rough. She's going to come up just short of that final mound. She is comfortably up on the par 5. So-young did roll into the rough once more. It's 110 meters to go over the water. The contact needs to be perfect here. This is a very unforgiving hole, especially with the wind picking up for her. She throws that divot into the water. She finds the safety, and she finds that little extra speed to get up. That's great. Very, very, very good look at a birdie coming up next. par 5, 15th today, only 7 birdies, 34 bogeys, and 4 higher than that mark. 4 holes to go. She gets another good kick down the fairway. This time she'll stay right in the middle of it. So another nice try for Peng Minji, almost to the very end of the fairway, in fact. Pushed from Jung Yoonji. A 2-putt par. 1 hole to go, 2 back from even. Still in a good spot, thinking about and thinking ahead to tomorrow. Oh, that's a near and very frustrating miss on 16. Coming so close to having enough, and by the time that she reaches, she will know that that is going to be at least a 2-putt for Ji Hyun. Park Ji-young goes high and left. It'll be a bit of a precarious second shot, which we will see on the other side of this break. Before we go, here's the update. Lee So-young, the outright leader at 2 under, Peng Min-ji at 1 under, Park Ji-young in third at 1 over, and the projected cut line staying at plus 12 for the minute. Back after this quick break. We pick things up on 16. Pak Ji-young, a nice little touch from an uphill perch above the hole. Gets it nice and close. Evidently, in these major championships, we're seeing a concerted effort this year to make the courses more challenging. Depending on how tomorrow goes and the weekend in general, we are on for what could very well be the highest championship winning score since 2008 for a 4-round event when Shinjie won with a 3 under. So that is some reason for optimism for anybody who goes over par, because she had gone over on Friday and Sunday to win the event. What is now almost 14 years ago. There are some players on tour that were barely in kindergarten, still 4 or 5 years old back when that tournament was won, let alone when Imuna had won the inaugural tournament in 2006. Visceral look of frustration plastered on the face of Ji Hyun. For retrospect, by the way, here at Blackstone Incheon last year, Chen now won with a 10 under. Her highest score was a 1 under. I don't think we're going to see anything remotely close to that unless one of the leading protagonists comes up with a 68 or something tomorrow. You know how difficult things will play on Sunday. So Young might just have enough. It does. It's a great birdie. That is now 4 on the day to accompany her 2 bogeys. She is at 3 under for the tournament with 3 holes to play and has inflated that advantage to 2 strokes once again. As we go to 18, Imi Jung, when she had won this event, it was at 15 under. Tied for the 3rd highest score ever at this event. Carries all kinds of speed all the way to the very back and rolls into the rough. Need a little pitch to get it up, catch the fringe, and try and keep it nice and tight. Perhaps why that's what she was making that face about. Thinking, really, I'm still this far out. It's 3 over now, heading to 17 for Ji Hyun. It's a great approach on 15 with a right to left wind blowing across, and Peng Minji corrals it well. Pak Ji-young 2 to go, 1 over still. Again, Jung Yoonji was able to find the KB zone. That's another kilogram of honey. And an approach that plays like honey with how soft it lands. hear the almost desperate plea for a little bit more as Ji Hyun is short on the tee shot. First effort down and staying out of the comfort zone for Jung. Dug into the sand. Trying to blast it out with control. That's the trick. She needs that to bite. She's not going to get it. Goodbye, ball. That's a great way to finish. Our fourth birdie of the day, all in. It is a 72, 4 bogeys, 4 birdies, an even split. 2 over is the final score by the end of the day, and that is good enough for a tie for 4th position for Ji Hyun 3. Dives to the inside, rolls to about. Let's see, 5.5, 6 feet away. Stumbling, unfortunately, to the finish line. It is 3 bogeys, in the last 4 holes. 5 in total on the day. Out with a 37, in with a 39. That is a 76, 4 over for the champion from 2019. 150 strokes through 36 holes. Down in a tie for 16th as we go back to 17. Jung Yoonji just outside the top 10. A birdie here or at the last would likely vault her into the top 10 once again. She's been able to stabilize the round. There's no doubt it was a bit tumultuous through its first half. So we go back to 15. And she just has not been able to find the balance with the putter the last 4 or 5 holes.
Okay.
Short roll in. And looking at the past few, that is now 5 consecutive pars. She's on pace to be a 36 here on the way in. Final par 5 to go. This is the first par 5 of the back 9 for Jung Yoonji. This would be for birdie. Not the most challenging. The weight is the key. She's overstruck that ball. Pace is there. Is the line just fractionally off? It was near exceptional level of putting. Off by literal millimeters. So she'll have to settle for a par on the par 3 16th. 2 to go, and what a big gap that would have created. To go back to 15, Kim Min-ju trying to avoid another bogey on a day that has seen its fair share of them. It's a nice par. Ji Hyun once again finds herself in an unfavorable lie. It's 143 meters as she looks down at the flag. She's going to bounce up, but she's going to carry way too much speed. From rough to rough, and she'll be perched up above the flag again. About 200 meters further down this hole. So Jung, nice conclusion. That's a very good putt to find another birdie today. She has had a much, much better back 9. Now 5 bogeys on the day, plus the double bogey at 6, and that stretch, an unfortunate stretch, continues with another. Now all of a sudden Jung Yoonji finds herself just trying to keep pace with Lee So-young, especially with that near miss at 16. It's a bit of a lifeline, but Jung Yoonji has to do herself a favor. She does. Ji Hyun from the big target in the fairway at 17. Down on her approach. 5-iron for Kim Min-ju on the tee at 16, and a beeline for the hill towards the cart path. Starting to think that the course is in many of the players' heads here. Well, for a pretty wide 16th green, it's about 20 yards in width. It is completely unreached from our final group. Look at that little roll back, just feet away. Jung Yoonji, one of her best of the day. Well, that will set her up for a well-deserved birdie to reach even. Excuse me, it would be, yes, even for the day and 1 over for the event. Should she tap that in, it would take some crazy unforeseen circumstance for that not to be the case, and she'd be back into the top 3. Ji Hyun on the par 4. Drives that ball right into the sand trap. And the update. Jung Yoonji, for the time being, at 2 over. That's going to change. She will move into a tie for 3rd with Park Ji-young. Peng Min-ji is still 2 back. Ji Hyun at 3 over. Cho Ayan, a good round today, 70 to get into a tie for 9th position. That's up 33 spots from where she had started the day. And with the cut line at plus 12, we currently have 65 players in a position to qualify for moving day tomorrow. Nearing 5 p.m. local time in Chunchi. Another break and back right after this. More coverage of the second round of the KB Financial Group Star Championship. Well, there is the birdie, and even par reached for Jung Yoonji. As we head to a much bigger predicament on 16 with Kim Min-ju. There's not many situations where you'd practice a shot like that. It is so steep down that hill that she is definitely not wanting to find herself in a situation like she was earlier where she overhit it, thinned it, and it went all the way down to the other side, so she was playing a little bit more cautious, and it keeps her in the rough. And in the rough is where we find Ji Hyun on 17. Much different kind of shot, though. This is a very high lofted pitch shot. That's a nice up. Should be simple enough. Asterisk, of course, to get down as well. That is the second effort. Weighted better. Pak Jung 23 meters as she slowly works her way uphill. It's about 21 of those meters made up. It's just an absolutely immaculate Friday evening here at Blackstone. Still the temperature rating 29 degrees. Mostly sunny skies here in Icheonji in the northeastern portion of the country. My name is Adam Jenkins. Great to have you along, however and wherever you're tuning in. It's our fourth major championship of the season here on the LPGA Tour of Korea. Kim Min-ju is finally able to get down. And Pak Jung finishes with one final putt. We'll have one opportunity left to get back to even for the tournament, that is, on the 18th hole. And Ji Hyun, she got up. She just has a meter and a half between herself and a par. Minimal movement, nothing overly complicated about this one.
Okay.
Rattles it in. And an exhale that there was no surprises for her there. She's 6 back. Back to 16, the final par 3 of the day for everybody. 7.5 meters as Pan Min-ji tries to save a par. Left herself with a ton to do here. It's going to be short. A little bit more subdued, a little bit more reserved. She once again finds some fumbles on the back nine. For the second time today, she's had 2 bogeys in a 3-hole stretch. She will head to the 17th, now down by 3 shots. Ani So-young. Speaking of, here she is in the sand on 17. A miss to the left of the fairway. It's pretty much straight at it though, and again, flags to the left. You can almost draw a line right down from the middle of that yellow camera stand in the background. She's 60% in her greens in regulation for this tournament. That is 22nd position. She is able to reach the green, but not stay up on the back tableau. Ji Hyun again, as her putter let her down. She's not out of it yet. 8 and 9 were the good portions of her day. Unfortunately, there's a lot more blue than red on her scorecard. Bogeys at 1, 3, 5, 7, 10, 13. A double bogey on 16 now. After going out with the 38, she is on pace for at least a 40. It's starting to really cascade down the leaderboard. Similar frustrations with this club as well for Hong Jung-min. She's down 8 spots. Will be another to tie for 11th with Chen Ray, Lee Gi-pum, Chen In-ji, and Chune. 131 meters to go for So-Yeon Jung, tied for 6th. Good spot in the fairway to make this attack. She is the only one really in reasonable birdie positioning as she gets a helpful little roll. On to the 18th tee. Jung hasn't had a birdie since the 7th, which was back-to-back after succeeding at 6 as well. Hard here yesterday and off to a tricky start, missing to the right. Min-ji, who did birdie here yesterday, and that looks a little bit tricky. It's a lot of movement to the left, but the telemetry in the end is a little bit misleading. Nicely into the fairway. Well, this is 17. It is a 355-meter par 4. Let's see the first climb. Two sand traps on either side of the fairway just as it narrows, and then it starts to wave up and down like a dragon all the way to the end of the fairway. 2 more sand traps. The one on the left side is the one to pay the most attention to. And the 3 distinct changes in elevation on this green, the 3 levels, is pretty much all the way down. Be a bit helpful if you're a touch long. Definitely don't want to be left here. See Hong Jung-min's scorecard. 6 bogeys and a double bogey on the day. She can catch that slope and stay. It'll be okay. It's what she does. A little bit right, but should work out. Bouncing once, twice in and out of the target and in a good spot in the fairway. Volunteer will mark it with the flag, and down they will go. And down we will go all the way to the green. This would be for birdie. This is pushing 30 meters of distance to go. Yoo So-young's had a couple of these, though, where she's nearly found a miracle. This one's going to be right, but again, the weight is tempered pretty well. Jung Yoonji from the sand trap. It's still 122 meters to go. This is her approach. Basically wants to be in line with the taller of the two camera stands, right by the bunker, but short of it. Just 5 yards from the back in terms of distance of this green. She gets up well. Nice recovery out of the sand.
Good job, man.
Good shot, man is right. That is a good shot. Now So-yeon Jung putting for a birdie. Dives to the inside. Her only potential saving grace there was if she could have taken a helpful deflection from the ball marker. But it was not to be. It is a par that she settles for with 1 hole to go. .266 meters from the rough for Park Ji-young. Let's see how she sets up her approach here. Cutting it back across and finding the fairway perfectly in the center and just short of the rough. Now the par putt. For her sake, she's hoping she has it. For the sake of the parity in this event, the neutral would say, okay, if you're going to bogey, wouldn't be the worst thing here. But of course, she's up to the task. She has putted so well today. And really, with the exception of 13 that caused her fits again, she's been steady as you'd like once more today. Speaking of bunkers on 18, that's where we find Chune. Great job out, and the supporters acknowledge the effort. She's either elated or a bit deflated today, Ji Hyun. So there hasn't really been much of an in-between. Minji's approach. It's a ton of ball speed as she gets that up and will nestle that in within a meter or two. Tricky one once again with the ball just beneath her feet in that stance. Needing just about every one of those 40 meters per second to get it all the way towards the back. Reminding us that she has a pretty good bead on this 17th as she had birdied here yesterday. She's in a good spot to repeat that feat. Let's see if Jung Yoonji can try and match it. She too carries a good amount of speed, and she too will be in the birdie zone. Well, that gap might shrink once again, but Jung Yoonji, of course, has to make the putt. It would bring her within one of even, and 18 still to be played. Maybe she has some redemption from yesterday. That's where you see some struggles. Kim Min-joo and Hong Jung-min at +6 and +7, respectively. We have reached the top of the clock. We will step aside and return to the wonderful Friday evening we have here in Blackstone right after this short pause. It's about 20 minutes to go here in round number 2. More and more groups coming through and finishing at 18. This is Ji Hyun, who's in group 29. A little bit short on the look for a bird. She was in a tie for 12th to start the day after a round of 73 yesterday. She won't be able to replicate that performance today, but she will still be a factor this weekend, no doubt about it. Too much quality there to keep her down for long. So Yeon Jung, who had birdied here yesterday, in the penultimate group, she was 71 yesterday. Nice start to the final hole. So Young is next, and she, of course, had her bogey yesterday. Here at 18, as Ji had done. Just have enough to stay on the fairway. June. Tied for 6th when she exited the course yesterday. Bit of a tougher day today. A 77 as she is +5, but that is still good enough for a share of top 10. Of the top 10, excuse me, as she makes her way to the clubhouse. And that is the par. Jung Yoonji, who is delighting the supporters. Happy to have her back, at least for the weekend. It's a good run. 6 straight pars on the way in. Looking at that scorecard, it was the front 9 that was volatile. Bogeys 3, 6, 8, and one more at 12. Her birdies 7 and 11. She had a double at the 9th. All on the way to her 76. More frustrations, unfortunately, for this one. Would have been a chance to pick a stroke back up, but she lips out.
Yeah, back nine was good. Excellent.
Setting some balls to throw into the crowd. Or hand out. It's a safer way to do it, I'm sure. Yeah, she is definitely a highly sought after player this week. Ji is used to being the one who is usually asked for the souvenirs, the autographs, the selfies. Back to birdie. 3 now on the day, 2nd of the back 9. Next up will be a chance to make up for her bogey yesterday here at 18. She hadn't sold, just waiting for the green light, the go ahead. It's been given. Should be a mostly uneventful approach shot. It is about as straight as you'd like. .151 meters to go. Sounds good. Does the eye test match the ear test? Well, she is on. That's not surprising. She's had, excuse me, the 5th best green and regulation rate of the tournament, nearly 69%. .150 for Ji Hyun. Needs to get up 7.6 meters. There's a little bit extra carry here. Oh, and it's the opposite. Not enough club. Needed to club up, and instead she's headed to the beach. She is the closest to Ji Hyun in the Alfazi's point standings, though that is still nearly a 1,300 point deficit that she is trying to overcome. Ji Hyun today finished with a 74. She's up 9 spots from where she was yesterday after her 77 and a time for 23rd at 7 over. Good spot to be in the fairway. Looks a 5-wood. 271. As she tries to find the exact end of the fairway. She gets over the last meaningful bit of rough. Jung playing her sand save attempt. It's a bit quick. It's not a bad spot to land though. Minji at long last. Able to tee off on the final hole. Able to catch and stay in that fairway as we go back to the 18th green with Ji Hyun. Might not have the speed. It's a valiant effort. Left a little bit off of it. It's been the fairways in regulation that have been more of an issue than the distance for Jung Yoonji. She comes awfully close to finding a tough spot of rough. She's going to sit right on the border. Ji Hyun has this to save a par. Oh no. Starts that too much to the outside, so she will drop at the bitter end. It was a 72 yesterday. It is a 74 today, so she is down with Ji Hyun 3 and a tie for 4th position. That leaves Jung Yoonji in sole possession of 3rd. She had been at that mark earlier in the day. Kim Min-ju on pace for a 77 unless she can pull out a birdie here. It was a par yesterday. In fact, she only had 1 birdie on the back 9 yesterday. It's a tricky start as she goes left and bounds into the tall grass.
감사합니다.
72 yesterday, 75 today for Ji Hyun. Double at 9, bogeys 13, 14, and 16. Tough little run for her. She and Park Ji-young congratulate each other on surviving the course today. Unfortunately, can't quite say the same for Park Bo-mi, as she would finish, with an 81. A +9 is right up there with the highest scores of the day. We've seen a couple of 83s today. I do believe that 85 is the highest that we have seen in this second round, and that belongs Look all the way down to the bottom of the leaderboard. Jung Yoonji. And as we refresh the leaderboard, just the two groups remain out on 18. Shouldn't have anybody left on the north course either, as we had lost 3 entrants to this tournament yesterday, so that for an uneven number of groups on both. And yes, it is So-yeon Jung, Yi So-young, Kim Ji Hyun, Hong Jung-min, Pang Min-ji, and Kim Min-ju who remain down to the final 6. And after this momentary pause, we'll be back to wrap up those rounds as well. Stay with us. Well, it did just nestle into the rough for So-yeon Jung. It is 97 meters shy. Avoids the sand well and rolls that up into a good spot. She's sitting pretty with a chance to go birdie-birdie in both round 1 and round 2. Five yards off the back fringe is the pin here at 18. Kim Ji Hyun is next. Just a bit of a carom, but the backspin keeps her on the green. Nicely approached. And that leaves the leader to approach from group number 33. 6 hours and 30 minutes they've been out there. Should be a little bit quicker this weekend with fewer groups. And that might just be bogey again, especially if she stays putting, which she will. Too much backspin, not enough carry. Bit of a predicament she finds herself in. Min-ji just blasts it through the rough, hot on the heels of the group in front of her. Well, doesn't look like Yi So-young's going to find a birdie. A bogey makes it interesting. Pang Min-ji, should she trade that with a bird of her own? Well, we could still yet finish tied by the end of this second round. Well, here we go then. The final putts, the final approaches. That is all that remains here in round number 2. It is 23.5 meters for Ji Hyun back up the hill. Reached for a little bit more, and that is still rolling close to the fringe. So now, it is that to save a par. Otherwise, things are going to get very, very juicy. It was Ji Hyun who bogeyed yesterday to eliminate the advantage she was able to put together on 18. This is how much things have changed in the course of one round. Ji and Hong Jung-min had shared the lead at 2 under with identical rounds of 70. Kim Min-ju, So Yeon-jung, Lee So-young all were at 1 under. And there were 6 players at even. Kim Ji Hyun, Park Ji-young, Park Bo-mi, Chi Han-sol, Ji Hae-young, and Chu Ne. Fast forward about a round and we're down to just 2 players under par. So Yeon-jung can join Park Ji-young and Ji Hyun 3 with this birdie, but she pulls it. That was shot 75. This tap in is shot 76, a +4 in round number 2, tied for 6th position as she exits, though it is a bogey-free back 9, and that is, I'm sure, very much appreciated after 2 double bogeys and 2 bogeys on the North Course. Kim Ji Hyun, this will take her from a tie for 28th to a tie for 24th. But she just runs out of speed. So she would have been level with the likes of EA1 and Yoo Hae-ran, Sung Gae-hoon, Kim Se-rumi. There's some pretty big names up there at 7 over, but alas, it is down in that 6-way tie for T28. Very, very difficult back 9, to say the least. She will have done enough. She has done enough to qualify for the weekend, but drops herself mostly out of contention for a top 15 finish. That is absolutely not the case for Lee So-young. This would match the co-leaders' rounds of 70 yesterday. At the moment, unless she doubles, which is almost impossible. It is improbable, highly improbable, but she is one of 4 players only to be under par today. Lee Ki-pum was 1 under. Cho Ayeon and Chanu Ri both 2 under. At 88.57 on the bottom right of your screen. That is telling us her par save rate this tournament. It has been unbelievable. She has not dropped many strokes with this putter, but she's short 2. So that stat takes a bit of a hit, and it'll be another day, another round of 71. Bogey to start the round, bogey to finish it, bogey at 13 as well, and 4 birdies in the midst of those bookending drop shots. Green's clear. That means green light to play the approach shots. Kim Min-ju first. Just having rolled past the fairway, you can see her caddy glancing down at his wrist saying, okay, how long have we been out here today? It's definitely been a long day. Bounds once, bounces twice, settles in the rough. I had teed off at 11. That is 6 hours and now 27 minutes ago. This course nearly 6,700 yards long, 6,116 meters. And only 99 of those meters remain for Bungmin Ji. Can she set herself up for a birdie? Nope. It would take her best shot. So she can think about getting there in 2 and keeping the deficit at just 1. She knew she came close to setting herself up for a share of the lead. Jung Yoonji, she was just short of the sand trap. It's 94 meters remaining. And she too will be joining Bungmin Ji in that front left quadrant of the green. So everybody's up. About 46 hours from now, they will be met with an announcement, the featured group, and a much more raucous ovation, as is always the case. The bleachers fill up for the weekend when the decisive shots, the decisive rounds are on the line. Plenty of time for self-reflection tonight for Kim Min-ju. She's been on quite the ascendancy since the beginning of the season. She was ranked 882nd, her worst rank, her lowest rank. I guess highest, depending. No, lowest. Had it right the first time. Currently finds herself 188th in the world. Tied for 49th last event, the 11th KGE Daily Ladies Open. Missed the cut of the Hanwha Classic. She's had a few of those this season. She was the runner-up at the Celtrian Queens Masters, which was the best results in her young career. Shows a good bit of skill to get out of the rough. The DB Group 36th Korea Women's Open Golf Championship was her best major finish of her career, tied for 18th. Was a runner-up at the Hanwha Classic. The last event she had entered in. Took some time off, some well-deserved time off, I'll add. She does have 3 wins on the season. Another title, the NH Investment and Securities Ladies Championship, the Celtrian Queens Masters, and the BC Guard Hangyang Ladies Cup. Last event's podium and P3. Korea Women's Open Golf Championship. If she holds out, she shares the lead. As always, unlikely. She should have this par, and she will be in the runner-up chair heading into moving day tomorrow. just fractionally outside of the top 100 now in the world. Jung Min tied for 10th at the 11th kg Daily Ladies Open. She had, after the Hobanseol Shinmun Women's Classic, about a month and a half ago, she went to the Ladies European Tour for an event where she missed the cut at the AIG Women's Open, missed the cut of the Hanwha Classic, but that T10 last week set her once again on the right path, but it was a struggle today. P5 is their 5-over, excuse me, is still tied for a top 10 result, though it is a bit of a fall from grace. +7. She will tap in for a 79. Can't count her out, but she's going to need to play much better golf tomorrow. Bogeys 2, 4, 10, 14, 15, 16, double at 6. Her only birdie came at the 8th. Minji started the round with a birdie at the first. She had 2 separate runs of 2 bogeys and 3 holes, 2 and 4, 14 and 16. Of course, she birdied the last, also had one at 11. This for a par to finish even on the back 9. Nice finish. Had a pretty good grip of the course. And is one of 2 players under par at the midway mark of the tournament. Kim Min-ju to hang on to a share of top 10, of the top 10, excuse me. Her round, again, bogeys 1, 3, 5, 7, every other hole up until 8, where she snapped that and went back to back 8 and 9. Bogeys at 10 and 13, the double on the par 3 16th, and now to finish with consecutive pars for just the 3rd time today. And shot 78's a good one. So it's 149 strokes through 18 holes. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. We have reached the halfway point. We will, of course, go through the highlights momentarily and get a look at the final leaderboard already. Cutting the holes for tomorrow. I thought we were going to get a sneak peek at where it was going to be, but I'll have to wait just like you to find out where they will be. 64 players of the 108 that entered this event have made the cut. We're going to see some great shot making here in our second round highlights. We will begin, rightfully so, with the leader, Lee So-young. This serpentine line always puts a smile on my face. That was her first birdie of the round that came at the 3rd. She would par the 4th, then at 5, putting from the fringe in what was yesterday Pang Min-ji territory. Has a fantastic line at that, all the way in. 2 under is where she would be at that point in the round. And it's of course where she would finish, though there would be a couple of peaks and valleys on the way. One of those peaks was at 7 before we see Lee So-young's birdie. Let's see Jung Yoonji's. A long but gradual left to right, and then at the end, the decisive turn on line. It was her second birdie of the day, already with 2, heading to the 7th tee. Lee So-young. No, it's not an ace, but it is awfully close. About 10 centimeters shy from, that's a home theater system. She would, of course, tap in for her birdie. And then Cho Hyun, who had one of the best days of anyone out on course, including a really good little sequence. 2, 4, and 5. The tailing approach to a very short yardage. And she would finish with her 4th birdie of the day for a 70 after her 78 yesterday. That is an 8-stroke improvement into a share of tied for 8th position. Pang Min-ji, this was one of her very, very best efforts. Cuts that across, up onto the green, up the hill to the back rise, and just a simple, simple finish from 11. Then on 15, with the knoll to navigate, up the hill, back down again, and Ji Hyun, yep, of course. She is the master of the improbable, just as she had done yesterday at 18. Her best shot came at the 15th, was just one of 2 bogeys on the day. Also at 15, the final birdie for Lee So-young, and she knew that one early. She had the fist already pulled back to 90 degrees, ready to celebrate. Up to 3 under, but it would not last very long. Just 2 holes, consecutive pars. And then there were a few good birdies. In fact, there were 5 of them in the top 10. One of them, Ji Hyun 3. Her 4th birdie of the day. Then 83 meters from the fairway, this approach shot. And what an approach it was. Zip, just like that. Right back to a few feet away. Jung Yoonji, just her 3rd birdie. It would completely offset the bogey she had in the round. A 72 would be her final score. Final birdie for Pang Min-ji, 144 meters. Ball slightly below her feet and right up to the back expertly. It was just an incredible approach shot. Couldn't leave much for her to do with that putter. Then on 18, Lee So-young had needed this to save her par, but it would run out of speed. So she would need one final shot, her 142nd of the tournament. That is the aggregate lead by 1 stroke over Pang Min-ji. Just 2 players of the 108 who began the tournament sitting beneath par. This is our final look at the leaderboard today. Of course, we had gone through the top 3 already. Park Ji-young a 74 today. So-yeon Jung 76. Tough one out there for her. Ji Hyun a 75. Cho Hyun, of course, 2 under to make it to the front page of the leaderboard, leading the 2 that are tied for 8th, along with Han Jin-sun. Jung Yoonji was a 76 today. 76 as well for Oh Ji-hyun and Im Hee-jung. The low am up there. Got to give credit where credit is due to Pang Shin-shi, who was at 7 over for the event thus far. Then cascading down into the tied for 40th, those plus 10 marks, and the cut line plus 12. So 64 players will advance to tomorrow's 3rd round. Our start time will stay the same as it has done for both the Thursday and Friday coverages. That is 2 p.m. local time here at Blackstone Icheon. On behalf of the entire SBS Golf and Spot crews, I've been Adam Jenkins. Thanking you for joining us, and we look forward to welcoming you back tomorrow for Moving Day, the 4th major of the year, event 22 of 33, this 2022 LPGA Tour of Korea season. This is, of course, the KB Financial Group Star Championship. Goodbye for now. See you tomorrow.